To begin this section, we're going to be doing problems involving direct variation. Now, an example of a direct variation is the equation of a line that goes through the origin. So an example would be y is equal to m times x. Because as x gets bigger, so does y. So that would be a direct variation. And m would be the constant of variation. Now, if you have two sets of points that are directly proportional, which means the m's are the same, you would have 2 points, x1, y1, and x2, y2. Now, they're not being multiplied, I just wrote them closely. And the way that you would solve them is the constant of variation would actually be y over x. Now, if they're directly proportional to each other, then they have the same constant of variation. So then, direct helps me remember to divide. So you would divide each y by its x and set it equal to each other. Those are both equal to the same m. Now, if you're solving word problems, the way to do this, you're still going to divide, but line up the units. So let's do some examples. If y varies directly as x, and y is equal to 25 when x is equal to 15, find x when y is equal to 40. So remember, we're going to divide. This is our model. I always write this over to the side to help me keep it straight. And I have 25 divided by its x equals 40, which is y, divided by its x. Now, if you notice, both y's are on top. Both x's are on top. That's very important. Now, we've learned how to solve proportions, and the way that we're going to solve this proportion is we're going to cross multiply. So 25 times x is equal to 40 times 15, and 40 times 15 is 600. And when you divide 600 by 25, you get x is equal to 24. So looking at the next problem, it says if a is directly proportional to b squared, it gives us some values for a and b. I'm going to set up my proportion right here. This is my model. So if you see, I substituted my 10 in for a right here. And I substituted 2 in for b, but I'm squaring b. And I'm going to set up the other side. So I need to find a when b is equal to 4. And I'm going to square that, because the proportion is about squares. So this gives me 10 over 4 equals a over 16. And cross multiply. 4a equals 160. So that means a is equal to 40. And it's just as simple as that. Now we're going to get into some of the word problems, and I know the other ones seemed like word problems, but here's the word problems. The amount of hydrogen produced when sodium is added to water varies directly as the amount of sodium added. If 92 grams of sodium produces 4 grams of hydrogen, find the amount of sodium needed to produce 10 grams of hydrogen. Okay. Well, they use the same units, so we can't go by units, so we're going to go by kinds of units. So the way I want to set it up, I'm going to put hydrogen on top and sodium on bottom. And as long as we're consistent with this, then we'll be able to get our right answer. So let's start with the first set of problems. 92 produces 4. So the 92 is the sodium. I've set that up to go on bottom. And the 4 is the hydrogen, and I've set that up to go on top. And find the amount of sodium needed to produce 10 grams of hydrogen. So hydrogen goes with hydrogen. They go right across from each other. And I need to solve for the sodium right there. So we're going to cross multiply. So 4s equals 920. And I believe 4 goes into 92 23 times. So that means S is going to be 230 grams. So, set aside your answer. Give it a little square or a circle or something. Last one. On a certain map, a field 280 feet long is represented by a 5-inch by 8-inch rectangle. How wide is the field? Now, this is written as a proportion. It's really more scaled. So we're wanting to change. This. So a 280 feet long. So why don't we do this? So this time we're going to organize this based on the kind of unit. So the length is proportional to the width. Now length is usually our longest part, so the 280 and the 8, they're going to go together. So we'll have 280 over our unknown width over 8 times 5. So this has been scaled down. So we're going to multiply. So 5 times 280 gives me 1,400 equals 8W. And when I divide 1,400 by 8, I get 175, but the proper unit, feet, is equal to width. Now this should give you enough information to complete your homework, and there will be even answers posted on Moodle this evening for you to check.